What's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin price chart. Of course, we'll peek over there at the altcoin market, talk about XRP, with a little look over there what the price action of the stock market has been doing as Bitcoin's price has been falling, which also is occurring with a move up in the United States dollar currency index, which is a little counterintuitive, as we do also see precious metals rising at this time, such as silver and gold, while the dollar is rising. But with all this price action over here in Bitcoin and in the cryptocurrency market, I made some pretty keen observations yesterday over there on social media. Now, if you remember, just last week, I'd run a poll over there on Twitter asking what comes next, $40,000 or $12,000, in which 68.8% of people believed that the next price move for Bitcoin was $40,000 versus $12,000. Compare that to the bottom of the market when 64.9% of people thought we were going to $12,000. No matter how much I tried to argue that 10 to 12K wasn't happening here, it's still what the consensus believed. Heck, even before I conducted the poll, I even issued the chart that has been deemed to be engagement farming, showing Bitcoin rolling over in the ultimate doom scenario. And that's not what I'm here to do today, but what I am here to show is that the 12Kers, the 10 to 12Kers, are back in full force, and they happen to show up when they are fearful. With that most recent liquidation over there on Bitcoin, for the first time since March, this market has slipped into fear. We can see that expressed on this graph right here, where you can see the low was set back in here shortly after the SEC had sued Binance and had sued Coinbase, still remaining in neutral. But with that liquidation, we have now shifted into the fear zone in here. The last time we were in fear was all the way back in March. Remember, that's during the banking crisis. But as we've gotten back in here, all over Twitter yesterday, I saw nothing but this. Now, if you've followed this channel, I've talked about how back in December, November, really June all the way through January, every video I did, every tweet I did, I would get comments on it telling me we were going to 10 to 12K. That still persisted up until March. Then after the market bounced, after the market sold off during the banking crisis and recovered, it stopped then. I've talked about that multiple times on this channel, that over the last several months, I get 0 comments like that saying we're going to 10 to 12K. Whereas I used to get what felt like at least a dozen every single day for like 9 months straight. I even wrote this newsletter over here on Substack 2 days before we just had this liquidation happen. I even talk about that here by saying I received comments on every tweet and every video that we were going to 10 to 12K. But all it took was that shift, and now we're right back in it. And in the famous words of Helene Meisler, nothing like price to change sentiment. So we're going to talk about this because I saw it posted early in the morning over there on Twitter, and then come late in the afternoon, multiple accounts all tweeting it. And what was funny is they're all just kind of drawing it themselves, drawing it the exact same way. But I'm going to show the serious problems that would happen here with Bitcoin if this did occur. And the reason I want to talk about it in this manner is because this is considered by most that if we do this, this is bullish, that we're going to find support down there, 10 to 12K, and that we're going to go on and start a new bull run. And while the market slips into fear for the first time in over 4 months, we get the return of this. So everybody's a little bit blinded emotionally by fear since we haven't seen this in so long. And I'm going to try to provide like a level-headed view on this, that if something like this were to occur, the absolute damage this would do to Bitcoin, the damage it would actually do to the narrative for Bitcoin as well when it comes to Bitcoin cycles, the impact of block reward halving, and how the things that I've said about the stock market have been in play. So essentially my goal by the end of this is to say this isn't going to happen and be bullish. If we ended up getting something like that, it would be the thing we've talked about on this channel for years, the ultimate doom. So let's talk at least why this moving down to 10 to 12K would be something that would just be completely out of Bitcoin's normal behavior and be unlike anything we've ever seen from Bitcoin before should we go do it. The very first thing we can do is we can look at the fall that took place from 2014 to 2015 and then the recovery that happened from there. And we'll overlay this on a couple of different spots, but we'll see that in each time that we fall for essentially about a year, right? Once that low is put in, no new lows are put in after that. So the discussion that we would go set another new low for Bitcoin would make this the longest downtrend for Bitcoin in history. That doesn't exactly go with the 4-year cycles for Bitcoin to sit here and say, we're now going to go set a new low and it's going to be essentially one extra year added on top of what we've ever done, right? So these falls take a year to play out in here. Not only are we setting a new low that's never happened, but we're going to make this whole thing last 2 years that we're going to set a new low this time. That certainly deviates away from the price behavior of Bitcoin's historical cycles for the 4-year cycle theorists and for the block reward having theorists. Another thing to take notice of when we zoom in is the thing that we've talked about all year long, at least all of 2022, to be able to find the bottom and get the bottom of Bitcoin, is that the peak of the market actually came in with laser eyes and diamond hands. And all your on-chain data shows it. Even all your technical behavior underneath the hood of Bitcoin shows you that the bottom came in back in June from a peak that came in back in April and May. Even if we look at like price similarities to this right in here, things we've talked about, like what happened in 2017 is that as you fell off of the peak, what did you have? You had somewhat of an alt season take place right in here, right into this retracement. This is also where we did see the alt season take place. This is Elon Musk, laser eyes, diamond hands. This is where your long lost stepsister that you haven't talked to in 20 years texts you and says that they bought Dogecoin. All your buddies are texting you who have never dabbled in crypto prior to 2021, telling you how great they're doing. That's all happening right in here. Then they all bail from the market. They get out of here. And then we have the quietest new all-time high in history because everybody's gone. And like we've talked about many times, it's printed a bear market fractal right here from the very peak of the market. So the reality of it is that all on-chain behavior, all technical indicator behavior signify that the top did actually come in back in April and May when Coinbase did their IPO, and that we've been falling off of here, doing the same structures in here to finally go on and capitulate. For the past week, I've shown this representation by showing things like Dogecoin and how their peaks did come in way back in here in the time frame we're talking about, May of 2021. The same goes for Ethereum Classic. The peak of the market was back here in May of 2021. The same is true for XRP. The peak of the market was all the way back here in April of 2021. And the same goes for Litecoin over here, May of 2021. And I could go on like this forever. We could go through tons of coins and see that their tops were in April and May of 2021, which exhibited behavior of the peak of the market all taking place back in here, May of 2021. The excitement, the YOLO, the degening. And if we're to even use this model rather than saying, hey, look, if we use right here and we say that this is it, and we're talking about going and set another new low, we're talking about 2 years to finally find its bottom. But even here, in what we see in all the on-chain behavior, all of the technical indicator behavior, and the market behavior of the altcoins, all indicates we topped way back over here. And that if we're going to go and set another new low, we're going to go do it 2.5 years after the peak. That is not consistent with any of the major moves that Bitcoin's ever done. 2018 took 362 days, almost 1 year on the button. Looking at 2014, it took 410 days, a little bit over 13 months, 1 year and 1 month. This one, 2-3 days. 2011, this one took 163 days, so about half of a year. So we've seen 6 months, we've seen 12 months, we've seen 13 months from peak to bottom. And no matter how we look at this, we've already elapsed more time than any of those times before. Whether we do use where all the euphoria in the market is or was in 2021, or even if we move over to 2022, even though we know most of this market peaked in April and May. Even using it in this manner to go set a new low would be different from any behavior ever done from Bitcoin ever before. Why else would that make this behavior different than ever before? Is really, we can just look at the technical behavior and the technical strength that came out of Bitcoin. We can look at it on a large time frame and look at the monthly stochastic RSI to see that in each big drawdown for Bitcoin, the stochastic RSI goes and hits 0 and holds out down there. We have had that happen here in 2022. Here is your 2014 through 2015 bear market. Here is your 2018 into 2019 bear market. What we can mark here on the technicals are when we go ahead and we leave and we start recovering on stochastic RSI in those moments. And every time we leave on the monthly time frame, we can see the bottom is already in and we're into recovery. That's what took place in 2015. Now look over here to 2019 as the monthly stochastic RSI escapes. The bottom is already in. There is no new low that gets set even during the C19 liquidation. No new low. Now you can mark yourself here and see the same things, right? We escape. There's your escape. There's every bear for you. How would the pre-programmed four-year cycle theory, historical, repetitive price action in any way be able to set itself a new low in the event of four-year block reward halvings? And the point I'm making here is if you go set a new low and you go to 10 to 12K, you are deviating and doing something entirely different than Bitcoin's cycles have ever done before. And that if we set a new low, there's bigger problems than sitting there thinking we're going to bounce from there. And just a little side note to corroborate the idea of the peak of the market was back here in April and May of 2021. You see that on the stochastic RSI as well. You see how it falls off the cliff right in here to get to the lows. Look back to 2017. Notice it falls off the cliff at the peak of the market. You know, we're talking about going and setting a new low over 2.5 years afterwards and after making this recovery. And the point I'm making is that idea for it to be bullish and do that, hey, we're just gonna come down here and then we're gonna go off and start a new bull run. Based on what? 84% drawdowns from the past? No, we're way beyond that. You only had a 2,000% rise. What about that, right? What are these? Right, this one right here, 12,000%, 84% drawdown, 2,000%. The percent drawdown doesn't matter. You are so deep into this that the idea of there being another new low and this thing lasting so long, it just doesn't add up in any way for Bitcoin. Every time this has happened, the low was already in. You can't have your four-year cycles and your four-year block reward halvings and everything's happening cyclically with that. It does not fit in to the grand picture, the grand puzzle. And the reality is the fantasy, the narrative of Bitcoin and the four-year cycles and the magic of block reward halvings pushing the price of Bitcoin much higher. You've shattered all of these narratives that you've ever had by going and doing that. And that may come off a little bit blunt, but the reality is I know how this goes from creating content for almost 4 years on YouTube and how quickly the 12Kers returned yesterday that I will definitely be getting comments on my videos. And while everybody's emotionally drunk right now, we can look at this from a logical perspective to say, if you do that, you are deviating away from anything Bitcoin's ever done before. It wouldn't make any sense for Bitcoin to remain bullish in the event that that would occur. Another scenario I saw really throughout all of 2022 was that, with the four-year block reward halvings, what we're going to see is we're going to see Bitcoin fall, recovery, and then another wick back down to the lows all over again. But I think all of this really stems, once again, to have this idea of this happening in Bitcoin was not to understand what happened in 2018. It was not to understand why the top was coming in when it did, which we got here on the channel. One of the very few people who knew the top was coming in for Bitcoin. It's a lack of understanding of what this whole thing is. This is a wave 4 contracting triangle, and in Bitcoin super cycles, it's done this multiple times. In the 2013 super cycle for Bitcoin, we had the exact same thing come in here in 2018 through 2020, where Bitcoin historically stops here at this level and then produces a contracting triangle of the exact same behavior. But the thing is, these things have retraces, right? This thing exceeds a 618 retracement as they do to then go on and consolidate again. We've shown examples of this on many charts before, such as Netflix, such as Ethereum, before you go on for a 4.236 extension, and that completes your move. Then we had pretty much the same thing play out here from the peak, with Bitcoin not getting quite as high as 2013. But we can see how our second leg in here, after the peak of the timing is literally perfect in here, look how we move down. The same thing occurs in our move down to get down to these lows and to pinpoint nail that low. And so if we're looking for like a repeat to happen here of 2018 to where it goes back and revisits the low a second time, to just understand that this was a very specific structure here in Bitcoin. This is a consolidation structure that exhibited strength right away from the lows to go back and perform a full retrace before contracting, consolidating, and continuing. That is not the case of what you have happening in here, right? This thing is very drawn out. This thing is very slow in here. And from a time perspective, looking here versus that, it's more like, you're maybe not as strong in this initial breakout in here, but escaping this range and then running sideways for a long time, right? If Bitcoin has any chance of being bullish at all, this would have to be the theory, not the theory that we go down to $12,000 and then recover from there, but more that we just kind of continue going flat throughout here for some time. And that would corroborate all the things we've been talking about with the monthly stochastic RSI, the recovery of it, when the peak of it came in back in here in April and May, right? We can look at this downfall of Bitcoin from back in 2014 coming off of the super cycle that took place and how we expected a super cycle. You can look at this fall that has taken place based on timing, right? You put the peak where the peak of the market was. What do? We have this recovery. Then we go down. We have an ABC correction happen here, both in 2014 and 2022. Then we go on and capitulate. We start Wyckoff accumulating. FTX happens. It gets us the full distance we're supposed to go. Then finally, we go in for the breakout here happening at the same time as we should. If we zoom in even closer, we can even see right in here as Bitcoin's breaking out in 2015. It's right when Bitcoin's breaking out here in 2023, like within like 2 to 3 days of each other, marking these things happening at the exact same time and then working down at the same time. They both break their 9-month resistance within a couple of days of each other. Difference being our breakout level was higher back in 2015 and 2016, but as you can see, price pulls back down, runs flat for a very long time on top of it before it eventually is able to get its way out. It's just that our little breakout level is lower, right? This is our breakout level. This is the peak of this moment in time, right? This all happens right here. It just happens to be lower. And that the bull thesis should likely be the floor holds here. And if the floor doesn't hold in here and you start breaking down, well, this is not your 2018 through 2020 bear market. It then is not your recovery that took place in 2015, 16, and 17 that was coming off of a super cycle, right? Here we are. There's a super cycle. There's your recovery, completing another super cycle, not doing the same style recovery in here where our peak comes in. But so long as it's running flat in here, well, that actually is kind of okay. But under no historical norms of Bitcoin should at this phase of the market, we start going and setting new lows. So rather than hopping onto the fear train and instantly screaming that we're going to the lows or we're going to go set 12K or 10K, the logic of the phase of the market still has that this is what's going on in the market right now for Bitcoin, that it's flat, oscillating between the highs and the lows. You can see the liquidations that even took place in Bitcoin here. Even this liquidation right in here, this is 17%, 16%. This one right in here, 8, 9%. As long as you're running flat, you're not setting new lows in here for Bitcoin, this is not beyond historical norms. But I wanted to show you on the monthly time frames and the bigger picture of it all and how long we've been in here. There's legitimately no precedent to go back on to look for a new low to come in for Bitcoin right now and not be thinking that this is what's happening in the market. That the thing we've talked about on this channel for years, the end of a super cycle. We watched for this thing. I have videos out before Bitcoin ever even broke down showing the same thing. We see where Bitcoin is bouncing from right in here, continuing to roll over like this, gives absolutely nothing bullish. It totally is the thing most likely Bitcoiners would never want to see. And so like when you look at like where the block reward halvings are located and where we are currently right now, we can pull back from where the block reward halving is supposed to be. About 238, 240 days. We'll go back that far on each of these to notice that if you're going to be in the block reward halving camp, where's a new low coming in? 238 days away from the halving, right? You could see that over here in 2012, right? Coming off the lows and then working sideways for a long time. You could see in 2015 and 16 coming off the lows and working sideways. And then you see over here in 2020 off the lows, working sideways sideways as C19. But if you're looking for a C19 event to emerge here, you have to again dismiss the super cycles, which is the same mistake that was made at the peak of the market, that you're not going to get this again at this phase in the market. So the logic of going to 12K at this phase where you've already had all monthly oscillators roll up, we'll go ahead and throw those on. You see the oscillators rolling up, oscillators rolling up, oscillators rolling up. At this phase, you don't have anything to go for to say that 12K is going to be bullish. But what you can do is you can look to how it's behaved, right? Once it got through its first support level, it ran flat for a long time. It got through its support level here, running flat. You still have that in your base case currently right now for those who are like for your block reward halvings, for your cycles, and it's going to go up for the sake of going up. But you got real no argument in here to go to 12K without it being like absolute super doom town. And I'm not saying that the market is even giving us a clear enough sign to tell us that this isn't in the cards. But after going through June through March, and every day getting the comments on my tweets, getting the comments on my videos, 10 to 12K, 10 to 12K, we're going to 10 to 12K. We're going to nip it right here today as it starts up, as we finally get into fear again, and it begins again, that you still have a base case of it's just running flat here with a higher low and a higher high. Higher, higher. Bullish divergence. But should we start making bounces to the downside, setting new lows, there's definitely no way on this channel I will be sitting here looking for 12K to be a bottom or 10K to be a bottom. It will have exhibited everything we've talked about for years for the rollover to go below the 2018 low. Fortunately, we're not exhibiting that yet, but don't get sucked into those who are immediately jumping into fear, immediately calling for new lows right away. And the reason we have to nip it, and we have to nip it in this manner, is because the whole 12K narrative is a bullish narrative. It is, we're going to 12K and then we're starting Moon City. And it's just not that. Fortunately, the things that we've been watching for over here to see if we can start holding here for Bitcoin have been to look at the stock market. We've been looking at the Dow Jones. We've been looking at the S&P. They pulled back to the support level. It's been hovering here for days. Boom, you've got a bounce so far in the S&P. And the bigger one, the one that Bitcoin tends to follow, is that Dow Jones. Oh my gosh, it's holding. So hopefully we can get a bigger move out of there today to relieve some of that fear and that worry as it sits back down here on the support for Bitcoin. But fortunately, things look okay. And like we're talking about with these altcoins and these corrections that went through with the liquidations were those of like what capitulation endings look like. Everything is still held totally fine ever since that happened. Fully completed correction structures. I give Bitcoin the benefit of the doubt so long as we're holding the lows that were set back there after the SEC sued Binance and Coinbase back in June. But I am not and will never be a believer that we go to 12K after 2.5 years of drawdown in Bitcoin and the altcoin market when we're already like we're months beyond C19. So for those who were here, 2018, 19, and 20, it's as if we're months already past C19. And at this point, we have the market still fearful, scared, worried, 12K. 12K is not a bullish floor. 12K is not something to cheer for if you are a Bitcoin bull. If you are cheering for 12K, you should actually change it to 3K. Otherwise, we're still holding. Dow still holds today. NASDAQ up over 200. S&P, awesome. Altcoins chilling. Bitcoin dominance downtrending since June as the Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, USDC safety trade has already completed. So we'll look for some more supports to come in here for Bitcoin today with the confirmation coming there from the stock market, in particular that Dow Jones to get away from 34,270. Otherwise, don't let the fear grip you. Think with a level head of what's going on, where we are, and build your thesis of the market. No circumstances provide a bullish $12,000 Bitcoin, and those who cheer for it, be careful what you wish for. Otherwise, we spent 9 months stuck under $25,000. So far, we're still sitting right on top. So my main takeaway from all of this is let's do better than we all did down here where everybody's screaming for 12K. Let's not let our emotions grab the best of us when the market clearly tells us we're in fear for the first time in 5 months. So far, things are okay. And the most intriguing thing coming from this market is the completion of the Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, and USDC dominance and what has in store for us moving forward. We've seen liquidations like this before in a similar situation like this where you spend 9 months stuck. This right here was 9 months. Plenty of liquidations took place in here as we kept moving sideways. Should we start breaking those down? We'll have something to talk about. But otherwise, sitting on top of a support that was a resistance for an equal amount of time as the floor was in 2015, I don't see a reason to throw on the 12K horns just yet. But if something happens, we'll address it. You better believe it. But we'll use a level head and we won't just start screaming 12K as the market gets fearful. And hey, what do you know? Bitcoin providing a little bit of relief now at 26,300 as the stock market ho-hums along. So there you go. There you have it. That's the history of Bitcoin. How unusual it would be to see a $12,000 Bitcoin or a new low to take out the low, and this thing still remained bullish. So I know there's a lot of fear out there in the market. I saw all the 12K stuff all over the internet yesterday. I just wanted to add some context on it in case you're researching that idea. Here's a little bit more research to add to your arsenal on whether there's any validity to that at all. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I didn't mean to come off so blunt and so intense, but I was really getting into this data as I was putting it together. And well, I might have needed to eat a little bit of breakfast too, which I have done now. Either way, we'll keep checking on it, you guys. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you're looking for something to do, of course, you could check out bcbacker.com. I put together this course with over 40 videos, with over 11 hours of content, deep diving into the cryptocurrency market and teaching you how to set up your own charts and your own indicators in TradingView and CoinTrader Pro, talking about different chart patterns and ranges, the Wyckoff accumulation method, Elliott wave theory, historical behavior of the cryptocurrency market, and a lot of just additional context and information that I've learned by studying this market for over 6 years, along with downloadable PDFs that you can put on your computer, you could print out, you could do whatever. That's all included over here on bcbacker.com. Check it out today. Otherwise, I want to wish you all a wonderful week. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.